night he passed away, we were out to dinner with him just hours before. We were texting that night. We were texting about the Lakers. We were texting back and forth up until 12:30. And somewhere between the last text he sent me in the morning, he was gone. It's not cliche to say you never know.
You never know.
You never know. It's not cliche to say. You know, I used to, you know, when it's somebody else, you know, you always feel bad. But until you really, it hits you, God, you just can't understand it.
Just hours after these photos of a smiling Cameron Boyce were taken by his father, the 20-year-old was found unresponsive at his Los Angeles home, passing away suddenly last month in his sleep due to a seizure, which was a result of epilepsy, a neurological disorder that affects nearly 3.5 million Americans.
Cameron had his first seizure at 16 and a half. And then until he had his second one, he wasn't considered as having epilepsy. And that was when he was 17, going on 18. He only ever had 5 seizures, and the 5th one is the one that he died from.
Was he receiving treatment?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he was on medication for one, but we also had this thing where they wired his head up and had this contraption on to try and capture brain activity. Nothing ever showed. They tried to induce him to seize with strobe and different methods, never seized. And he only ever had seizures while he slept. He never had one while he was awake. Every time he had a seizure, he would bite his tongue or bite his lip. He wouldn't have any memory of the seizure.
And obviously, if I ever thought that he could die from a seizure, I would have never let him out of my sight, which would have been awful for him. And so we thought, because he hadn't had one for 13 months before the last one.
For nearly a decade, Cameron was a fixture on family TV screens all across the globe. At just 12 years old, he landed his breakout role on Disney Channel's hit show, Jessie.
That seems kind of crazy, doesn't it?
Going on to star in the wildly popular Descendants franchise, showcasing his many talents as an actor.
It wasn't the right time, all right?
And dancer.
What kind of child was he growing up? What kind of kid was Cameron?
He was amazing. He was always extremely wise, extremely thoughtful, incredibly athletic, a dancer from the minute he was born, and just the kindest, sweetest human you could possibly meet, ever. He used to say to me, "Share your wisdom, Mom. Share your wisdom with me," which...
Who says that?
Who says that as a kid? And I would.
Often described as an old soul, Cameron believed deeply in helping others, combining acting with activism. His family now carrying on the work he began with the Cameron Boyce Foundation.
And the Cameron Boyce Foundation will do a lot of things for epilepsy, for ending gun violence, for the water crisis. Those are the areas he was really, really focused on.
What you leave should be bigger than you.
You know, I can never fill my son's shoes, ever, even though my foot is bigger than his.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to try to continue his legacy as best we can, because it's just too important to just let it die.
Usually a son says that about his father.
Exactly. Everything is just backwards. Everything is just reversed. And that's why it's so strange to me. Like, I'm not supposed to outlive my son. I'm not supposed to be undoing his estate. I'm giving... letters to the estate of Cameron Boyce, which is just, every time I read it or see it or something, it just boggles my mind.
In your quiet moments, and you think of your son, what's the first thing that comes to mind?